So, hello everyone. I hope this session will be inspiring to all of you. Thank you for being here with us today. And I would like to welcome you officially to this new episode of the AfriTech Connect, where discussions unfold on the forefront of spatial technology, project management, inclusive leadership, and wellness as our four core themes for the AfriTech Fellowship. And with us tonight is someone very special. And as you all know her, I'm sure it's Veronique Couttee. Before I start by introducing our beautiful but also very powerful speaker today, I would like to say that the AfriTech Connect is a space for us all. So feel free to take as much space as you need. Today's core theme will be project management, and the title of this episode is From Vision to Execution, AfriTech's Project Management Journey. Today with us is Véronique Couttee, and I'm so excited to introduce the wonderful guest speaker, as without her, none of this would have been possible. With over a decade of experience shaping the landscape of social and environmental justice causes, Veronique is a visionary leader at the forefront of driving positive change. As the founder of Geospatial Equity Tech and the AfriTech Fellowship Program, Veronique's commitment to empowering marginalized communities through technology and inclusive leadership is truly inspiring. With a background rooted in nonprofit and academic sectors, Veronique has honed her expertise in strategic planning, project management, and digital storytelling. Her passion for amplifying the voices of historically marginalized communities is evident in every initiative she undertakes. As we delve into today's discussion on project management within the African technological ecosystem, we are honored to have Veronique join to share her invaluable insights and experiences. Please join me in welcoming Veronique Couttee to the AfriTech Connect stage today. So, Veronique, do you have anything to say before we start this discussion today?
Yes, I want to say that I am very honored to be a guest on AfriTech Connect, which is your brain baby. And this is very exciting for me. I love the bio that you put together as well. I'm very honored to be part of the AfriTech Connect series. Yeah, I'm very excited to get started this conversation.
Thank you so much. And we are very excited to have you. And I've looked forward towards this discussion for days now. So I'm really excited. And I will not be, um, without further ado, I think we can hop into the discussion. So to start this discussion, I think it's important to have fundamental ground information. So can you share some fundamental project management principles that have contributed to the success of the AfriTech Fellowship, especially in the context of the African technological ecosystem?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really great question because, when we started AfriTech, we didn't have prior experience starting the project like this. And you were there with me as we were like struggling to put this together. And we had to put in like a grant application. And the grant application was really the framework for us to ask ourselves, what problem are we trying to tackle? How are we trying to tackle this problem? What's the solution that we're bringing forward? And the grant application was actually a great process for us to apply project management thinking to creating AfriTech. And part of that process was really to try and understand what kind of impact we were trying to have with the AfriTech program and defining our objectives, defining our goals, which is funny because we covered SMART goals with fellows, and we had to really think about our own goals and objectives for the program and ensure that they were measurable so that by the end of the program, I would have numbers and stories that would tell me that my program was successful. So an important aspect of doing this program was when I designed it, I didn't just want numbers. I didn't just want someone to, at the end of the program, that said, hey, 80% finished that program or 100% attended this. I wanted the qualitative information as well, which is often not taken into account when evaluating a program. I wanted to understand how to refine the program as well. So throughout it, we collected a lot of survey form that you very thankfully went after each fellows, after each session. Please fill in your survey form, because that feedback was really critical for us to improve. And we have actually, I have been in many programs. I will say that our program do actually take into account the feedback that we've received. And we've had verbal feedback where we directly asked fellow, how can we improve even after the first session? And with any kind of feedback, sometimes it's unrealistic. So you can't really change it because it's one person's demand or needs. So you can't really change all the time, but as best as we can, we try to accommodate the fellows' needs. So yeah, does that answer your question about project management and how it applied to AfriTech's journey?
Yes, I think it's perfectly answered. And I would like to add that, funnily enough, when Veronique approached me for to come into the AfriTech Fellowship team, I didn't understand what we were about to create or what was this adventure going to be. And as we grew together, but as the fellowship uh, took shape and became more real, it was really impactful to see how much project management is actually present in everything we do. We just do not really realize it as we go through it. And I think it's very important that you've talked about feedbacks, and it was really difficult sometimes to go after the fellows to get the feedbacks. But it's true. It's true that we've been able to implement a lot of the feedbacks that we got from the first cohort to the second cohort, even though they were back to back. And I think that's really powerful. And that says a lot about how much we really want to make an impact. And like you said, it's not just about numbers, it's about how much of an impact we are doing, but also what is the takeover at the end, the takeaway at the end of a session for all the fellows, but also for us and every team member. So thank you so much for this answer. So the next question is in line with exactly how it was maybe difficult sometimes. And so, what are some common challenges you've encountered when managing projects, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, since you're on the team, you already know some of our challenges. So at least, this is not just me saying fluffy things about challenges that may not be true, like, oh, we didn't have enough coffee. We actually always had enough coffee, which is a great part of our team. We've had lots of coffee at each meeting. One thing is we had to learn to grow as a team, and we've had to learn to lose people as part of our journey of building that team. And one thing that I realized is AfriTech started as my brain baby. So I had a really clear vision in my brain. And it was very difficult at the beginning to communicate that vision in a way that everyone felt like it wasn't just a Vero project or a Vero thing. It was really like a Vero launched and led and designed the program, but we all need to step into our own leadership. The challenge that created is because there was the power dynamic. I love when people say that I'm a non-hierarchical leader, because I think being a non-hierarchical leader is very difficult, because to some extent you have to have some sort of structure in an organization. Mm-hmm. However, you can empower people to become leaders in their own right. And I remember feeling overwhelmed because everyone on the team was coming to me. We were a team of 3, like the 2 other people that I was managing were coming to me for every single thing, like font size, picture size. And the reason that was happening is I will take your example because you're still on the team. I think it's more relevant. You didn't see your own potential. You didn't see what I was seeing in you. And part of my vision of AfriTech was to create leaders. So the leaders was not just the people attending the program, but also the people implementing the program. And because you didn't see what I was seeing and you didn't know exactly what your job was supposed to be, because we have to do a bit everything, we had challenges. And the turning point for us, where I saw a clear difference of you stepping up, when we actually sat down and I said, these are my expectations of who you are in this team and who you're supposed to be. And AfriTech is a testament to that growth, where you really embraced yourself as a leader and created the whole AfriTech Connect space. And I'm not involved in it. And it gives me so much joy, because not because I don't have to do anything, but because, you know, it stemmed from creating the AfriTech space and empowering you. And that helped me grow as a leader as well. That helped me know that we will have more people working with us, and you will have more people. And I hope you can pave it forward by trying to understand people's needs and giving them what they need to be successful. But it has also taught me that some people will not fit on this team, and I have to be okay with that. And so we've tried to hire people in the last 2 years. We've hired new people part-time basis that have been very successful on the team. We have worked with like multiple like facilitators. Some have been more successful than others. It's really about finding people that can show up as leaders, I will say. That can be challenging for any project.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. And I love how you tackle this question, but also it shows how the AfriTech community works. Because for me, or for a lot of people, for me before at least, challenges was something that was very negative. And it was really difficult to talk about challenges or explain what it means or how we overcame it. And I think to give a bit of context, it might be related to my past experiences in the work ecosystem, where I was not valued and I didn't know what I could or could not do, and I was often micromanaged. But what I really liked about the AfriTech Fellowship, but also with our workspace, was that every challenges was a space for growth, and we did grow from it. And one of the I would like to say to all of you, one of the superpowers of Vero is actually seeing your potential before yourself. And it was true. As I said at the beginning, I didn't even know what I would be able to do or how I could help her and why she wanted me on the team. But I've seen myself grow so much through the AfriTech Fellowship. And I would like to say thank you, actually, Vero, for trusting me and always pushing me towards those challenges and telling me, well, take it on because you can do this. And that's very nice. Thank you so much. And let's go to the next question, which is how do you prioritize projects and allocate resources effectively?
Yeah, so that's a tricky question because I can give you a textbook answer, but the reality of it is there are not just the resource aspect of it, but the emotional bandwidth of it, meaning how much mental space do I have to do something. So you've worked with me long enough to know I have lots of ideas. At random time of the day, I can come up and say, hey, Anne-Gaëlle, I think we need to do this. I think we need to do this. And I often have to think about my own mental capacity in the process, because the last 2 years, creating a consulting practice, creating AfriTech, like for anyone on an entrepreneurial journey, it takes a lot of mental space. So the truth is my mental and like physical well-being of, can I take on more? Do I need to take on more? And a good example of this is at some point last year, I signed up for a course and you said to me, like, I don't really know if you should be doing this right now. And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, probably not, because we were close to finishing a second cohort. There was a lot of work that was about to happen. And sure, I might have had another certificate by the end of this program, but it was not the right space. We were short one person on the team. There was a lot of new changes happening around the team. So there is always this element where I have to ask myself, do I have the capacity for this right now? Not because I'm not smart enough to do it, not because I'm not hardworking enough, but because I tend to be a perfectionist and I'm trying to shift from like the concept of mastering something. So putting my energy into one thing and making it good rather than trying to do a million things and getting all of them perfect. So it's still a work in progress, but I have found myself saying no and not actually pursuing a lot of things to actually right now, the space I'm in right now is reflecting on what has happened in the last 2 years from an AfriTech perspective, and how do I want to grow this space moving forward. So to summarize it all, a big component of time and allocating resources is like human resource in nature, but also reflection. Where are you at in the current situation? Does it feel right do you need more people? So I do a lot of reflection on where I am. I have a therapist that also helps me a lot with that regards. And I try to show myself some grace of, oh, do I really need to take on more?
And it's true. Like you said, it's um I think it's your case, but it's also my case. We always have so many ideas, and sometimes Vero has been like, "Oh wow, where did you get that from?" And but she never said to me that, "Oh no, we're not going to do that." Though she did say that sometimes we do need to say no to some projects so that we can establish boundaries or concentrate on a specific project. It in the AfriTech community, on our team mainly, we were always, it was always important to dream big. And that's, I think, a value that we always had. And I think that's from where the AfriTech Connect came from, because I didn't have any background into hosting discussions, but I really wanted to put into light all of those women that we've been discussing about for so long. And as you said, priorities is very important. And I think what really helped both of us was the fact that we were always able to be honest with each other and tell each other that, okay, maybe we should not be doing that right now and let's concentrate on something else. And I think that's something really important to have on a team, and that we didn't necessarily had I didn't necessarily have before in my work ecosystem, and it was really difficult for me to adapt to that. And that's why I think, like you said earlier, I didn't really know what to do, and I was always coming back to you to get acknowledgement before doing something else. And I think the space to be able to say, okay, let's concentrate on that, or maybe do we want a new idea or not? And that was really important. And I think that branch a bit into the next question about effective communication. So, as we know, effective communication is really essential in project management. So, when working on project involving teams, stakeholders, and partners from different countries, how can you ensure effective communication?
Yeah, that can be quite tricky. I navigate multiple time zone all times, and one thing that I will start with our team that I try to do a conscious effort is, you may not know, but I always check what you're doing from a marketing perspective, and like even your reports that you write, I may not check them every single month. The reason I do check them though is not because I'm making sure that you're working. That's not my concern at all. It's, I want you to know that your work matter. Even if, you know, the rest of the world doesn't, like, let's admit we only had one follower, which we don't. You've done like, I do want to take the time to celebrate the amazing job that you've done from the marketing perspective in the last 2 years. We've reached, I believe, 1,000 followers on, like,
And
or is
soon,
it, yeah,
we are at
soon.
nearly 800 now. So hopefully by the end of this year,
Yeah.
we'll be past the thousands.
Yeah, so we're getting close to 1,000, which is due solely to you. Like, it's completely led by you. At the same time, even if we didn't have these 800 people watching every day, I want you to know that I care, because this is important work for me. So when I read the reports that you have been doing for a while, it was important because I know what it feels like to work on a team, especially if it's a small team, where it feels like if you show up to work or you don't show up to work, it doesn't matter, which is not a great feeling. And here's the thing, I also know sometime, like, because of the time difference, we don't hear from each other for a while. And the reason I schedule a check-in, it's not because I'm actually checking that you're working. I think it's healthy for us to talk to each other, to remember why we're working together. And we used to go get great food and do it in person, which is currently not possible. But these meetings were always extremely positive from a team perspective, because even if you're introverts, which both of us are, which probably most people don't realize, major introverts, we are also social creatures, and like tapping into each other energy and support is very essential for us to move the work forward. So making the time for this in-person interaction is essential. And since I'm not in the country, I've encouraged you to go to networking events as part of your work, because even if it's not interacting with me, I know that going out in the world and interacting and networking with people gives you energy. And so this is a very important step in any kind of, especially remote work environment. And for people working remotely in different countries, even if it's just for a meal. And when it comes to navigating kind of international relationship, one other thing that I will like is that cultures are different. And so how people interact via email, we communicate a lot via Slack. Even how people communicate in Mauritius, like when you're organizing and trying to work with people, is so different. And one of the shows and when we're planning events, but our vendors don't always work that way, right? When we're trying to work with a vendor for hall, for catering. So adaptation is a big part with working like cross-culturally or with different people that you've not worked with before. And sometimes just patience, like understanding that some people, your relationship with them will not be easy because they work differently from who you are. And you can give them some of your structure and communicate that, but it doesn't mean that it will work. What was great, our team is when we started it, you were all on board about me doing an operating agreement, because I never told you, but I was kind of nervous because I was like thinking, are you kidding penser? Like, what are they gonna think? Like she wants to write a document about how we talk to each other. Like, that is weird. And it probably was weird, but I think it was actually beneficial because there's things that you said in there that stuck with me. I remember the things that you will not tolerate is you don't want me to go behind your back with other team members to talk about problem that I'm having with you. And like, I've respected that, not just with you, but if I have issues with other people on the team, I've really respected that to the point sometime where it was detrimental then because we were such a small team. But we've kind of learned to adapt, and there's been good communication and space to be upset as well. So yeah, it's a long answer, but in summary, what I'm saying is that like listening and navigating difficult conversation is kind of an essential part of any kind of effective communication.
Thank you so much, Vero. And for what you said about the operating agreement, it's true, it was weird. And I did ask myself, what are we doing right now? But I think the reason why we found it weird or that I was a bit lost is because I was not used to being respected. Because unfortunately, I didn't have a space where I felt like my opinion or what I have to say mattered. And I think this operating agreement changed my life on that day because I realized that I'm I'm allowed to say that, well, I want to be respected because I respect others. And I remember when we were drafting it, we each one of us had different times that we were not available because I remember for me it was like at 2 or 3 a.m. I'll be available, but in the morning I'm not really a morning person, so we kind of sort out when to do our meetings. And I it was really weird, but it was also very good. It felt good because it felt like I was being heard, and it was really nice. So I think that operating agreement didn't only change my life in the team, but also my life in general, because now I know that when I go and work with other people, or I have to create an agreement with somebody else about a project, I know that asking to have specific communication types or skills is important, but also there is a framework to create this, that we can create it together. And I think that's the best way to approach it. And I would like to bounce back on what you said about how within the team it was sometimes we had space. For me, we always say that the AfriTech Fellowship itself is a safe space, but for me our discussion was a safe space as well. And as you said about the meetings that we have, and even though we don't have them physically at the moment, each time we have our check-ins, it's really helpful because I get to talk about something that, when I think about it, there is so many things going on about in my head about AfriTech Fellowship and how much it grew from the beginning to how it is now. And the only person that I can actually talk about this is Vero, because we've been together since the beginning, and our energy just match and click and tell us, well, we've done that. And I think that's what gives us more energy and more drive, I would say, to keep
Mm-hmm.
going. And because there's days where you feel like, oh, like you said, am I doing this for nothing? Is it something that is
Mm-hmm.
actually making an impact? And having those discussions, those check-ins, even though sometimes it's 10 minutes of work checking and 40 minutes of of gossiping, it's very important. And I think what you said perfectly summarized what our team work like. And I really hope that all of you get to have a Vero or an Anga in your team so that you can feel safe. um, so next question is, can you tell me about a successful project management experience where you had to be adaptable and flexible in navigating unique challenges?
Yes, AfriTech. So I can talk about like a specific moment in AfriTech for me is we used to be a team of three, and we suddenly, as another cohort was about to start, we became a team of two. And that was a difficult transition because there was so much happening, from things that needed to be done and things that needed to happen to make cohort two happen. I'm manifesting cohort three really right
Manifesting.
now. And when that happened, I had to face a decision. I realized we are both amazing, but we have limitations. And if we're spread too thin, especially with the nature of work that AfriTech is, we were going to be stressed and we were not going to be giving our best to the community. We were not going to be fully present, and everything was going to become a chore. And one thing I can say is every AfriTech in-person event I've ever done has never felt like a chore or work. And I'm not only saying that, just to make it sound good. The road leading to a session might be work, but once I'm in a session, it has never felt like work. Once I'm in it, it has really felt like a community. And that is even for me first in a professional space. And then sometime I realized I created that space. And so it was very important to keep it that way for me with cohort two. And I made the decision to think, okay, we tried to hire someone, and again, that didn't really work. And I realized, well, I had cohort one. I had basically a group of women that had just gone through the program, that was smart, talented people, and I should just look toward that space and see if there was anyone that I could get from that space to help me in the second cohort. Because I realized there's no one better than someone from a prior cohort to help with the current cohort, because they've been through the program. And so I contacted one of the fellows, Anne-Sophie, and I asked her if she would be willing to work part-time for AfriTech as a communication assistant. And that was a huge help and a huge load off our plate for us as a team, because that meant that a lot of the admin work that took so much from our time to schedule and organize was taken over. And that gave you also an opportunity to lead and to be in charge of someone else. So that was for me a really positive space, because I learned to seek help outside of just the team. I trusted someone new to do the work, and I delegated tasks to someone new instead of trying to put everything on me. And it was almost weird that I didn't have to do everything by myself at some point. I didn't know what to do with that. It's like, but it was a learning moment of, I have created AfriTech, and maybe now that you've created AfriTech Connect, you realize when you create something, you breathe, live, and talk that thing. That's the only thing on your mind. And you think about so many little details. You may be brushing your teeth and you're like, oh, maybe I should do that. Or maybe I should do that. You see an ad or marketing, maybe I should do that, especially in the creation phase, because it's not an established thing. So your brain is constantly going with it. And for me, being able to delegate and take a break and actually have space to implement and do the program and not having to think about those tasks was a huge help.
Thank
So
you
thank
so
you,
much.
Anne-Sophie.
Yes, I think Anne-Sophie was our beacon of light at that moment, because
Yeah.
she did take a lot from us to for us to concentrate on other things that was more tricky, or that we unfortunately could not delegate at that time. And I think seeing Anne-Sophie in that second cohort as well was like she was relieving it all together by being a different person, because she grew so much. After the first cohort, she already grew so much. as a fellow, but as a leader, we really saw it, and I'm sure Vero saw it as well. We really saw how much she grew, and even today, she's a really great support system to both of us and to the AfriTech Fellowship community. And so, yes, shout out to you and Sophie. Thank you so much for everything you've done and for what you're still doing for us. And I'm sure that not only Anne-Sophie, but all of the other fellows, but also speakers and mentors, they have been a great support. And even to today, I go to events and I don't even need to talk about AfriTech. Somebody else will just say, oh, you know, Anne-Gaëlle, she works for AfriTech as well. So, Anne-Gaëlle, can you talk about AfriTech? So sometimes if I go to an event and I just maybe forgot about oh yeah, I'm here to talk about AfriTech. And then someone just come up and say, so how is AfriTech? And then they are just talking about AfriTech so much. And I'm so proud when I see this because we know where it comes from and seeing that so many people are actually with us supporting this initiative and always telling us when is the third cohort. Well, you've been manifesting. I'm sure a lot of us have been manifesting, and even our inbox on our different social medias can see how much people actually want to have a third cohort. So we are manifesting, and I think this break for us was very important because we were able to reanalyze and see how much of an impact we can have, and we will continue to have in the future. Thanks to all of you, thanks to all the the team, but also people that have been present, the fellows, and the support system that we have, which is great, by the way. And I think that's one key thing that you should have in any project or any initiative or program you're trying to create. You need a good support system. It can be your family, your partner, or your friends, but that's all the AfriTech Fellowship community is about, how we can build a community together and grow together without thinking of competitiveness or anything, just being here for each other. And, it's like a garden of flowers, and we're just here flowering the flowers and they are growing. So that's really nice. So that was the last question for me. Vero, thank you so much for this wonderful discussion. It was really insightful for me, even though there was a lot of things that I already knew. It's always really nice to talk about the AfriTech Fellowship. And if any one of you who is watching this video today has questions or comments that you would like us to share, please feel free to add it in the comment section below, and we will do our best to answer all of them. So before we close this call, Vero, do you have anything that you would like to add or share with us?
Well, I would like to say thank you again for inviting me to the AfriTech Connect space. It was really great to actually reflect on our journey together on this call, because we never really got to discuss why we did what and why. I realized that. And at the beginning, you just accepted like ideas, and it's kind of nice to get your point of view of how things started. And I shared my point of view. It was really fun. I will ask our viewers to watch more videos of AfriTech Connect, but also follow us on social media and stay tuned for like the third cohort. And we want funders and we want sponsors to help us make cohort 3 a reality. So we are out there supporting women in STEM and STEAM. So please support us in whatever way, shape, or form. If you're a mentor, you can reach out to us. And yeah, we're excited to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Vero. Thank you. Thank you also for your presence and for all your inspiring words. Thank you to all of you who are watching this today, for joining us on this episode of the AfriTech Connect. We hope today's discussion on project management and the AfriTech Fellowship journey has been interesting to you all. If you missed any of the last episode, I invite you to watch it on our YouTube channel, AfriTech Fellowship. And if you would like to watch all of the other sessions, stay tuned on our social media platforms to learn more and join us for more empowering conversation. Until next time, keep innovating and embracing the spirit of exploration. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.